All right, our next analysis for today is on CAD yen. Pull out the charts, let's go through it together, all right? Starting on the monthly time frame, as usual, we identified our monthly upper, our monthly lower zone by looking for what? That's right, horizontal sell and buy sensitivity. So we know that there's sell pressure at our monthly upper zone. We know that there's buy pressure at our monthly lower zone. Let's talk flow, okay? Just like on pound yen, we saw strong push to the downside. We saw buy pressure enter the market, higher time frame push, higher time frame exhaustion, sell pressure enter the market for a continuational push to the downside. Now, as mentioned, the yellow zones are our weekly upper and our weekly lower zone. I want you to start getting a visual of what zones look like on a different time frame, okay? So, what do we notice with our weekly lower zone on the monthly time frame? We're not even down to the weekly, and I can already tell you that this is a very strong area of buy sensitivity. Our weekly lower zone has a lot of buy pressure to the upside, okay? So we definitely need to be aware of that. What else do we notice? Well, we also notice continuous lower highs. That means that there's continuous sell pressure on the monthly time frame. Okay, we don't want to go too much further than this, but we definitely need to keep this in mind. So now let's take it down to the weekly for a closer look. All right, down to the weekly. Remember those lower highs we were talking about on the monthly time frame? Well, we can add downtrend. Why? Because they are respected lower highs, meaning that at every point of contact, there's continuous sell pressure entering the market. So at this moment, what do we have? We have sell pressure entering the market at our downtrend. We have buy pressure keeping price above our weekly lower zone. So this comes to what? A wedge or a squeeze, meaning that price will either break to the downside or break back to the upside to retest our weekly upper zone, okay? So we're on the weekly time frame. That's the information we need to take right now. On to the daily. All right, taking it down to the daily, looking for potential entry to the downside. Now, we know that there's two areas of buy sensitivity. Area number one being our weekly lower zone, area number two being our monthly lower zone. So doesn't it make sense that if price is able to break this wedge or this squeeze to the downside with the push, we wait for exhaustion, and if we see sell confirmation, doesn't it make sense that this would be a high probability short to our next area of buy sensitivity, being our monthly lower zone? Now, the reason why I'm assuming that price will make its way to the downside rather than break to the upside is due to the continuous sell pressure, okay? Buyers do not have control right now, sellers have control. Now that doesn't mean price won't break to the upside, but as of right now and from years of doing this, my hunch, the higher probability break is to the downside due to continuous sell pressure as mentioned. Okay, so let's talk about entry. We must wait and let price play within this wedge, this squeeze, as long as it wants. If price makes a push to the downside, breaking this weekly zone to the downside, that's a significant push. Why? Because we know that this is a strong area of buy sensitivity. So if sellers can break to the downside, that's a push. What's after a push to the downside? An exhaustion to the upside, where then we wait for sell confirmation. So a bearish engulfing candle close before entry to the downside. TP2 is at our monthly lower zone, which is our next area of buy sensitivity. Once price reaches TP1, we move SL to entry. Okay, so now there's only two scenarios that would make this trade invalid. If we take it back a time frame, what do we see here? We see strong sensitivity last time price broke this weekly zone to the downside. So what does that mean? That means that price may just see a break to the downside without coming back for exhaustion. That may very well happen, which makes this trade invalid, because why? Winners only enter at completion of exhaustion. Losers will enter at a completion of a push. So if we do not see exhaustion and just a push to the downside, that's fine. We wait till the next entry. Now the second scenario that would make this trade invalid is if price breaks this squeeze to the upside. So if price breaks this downtrend to the upside, this short becomes invalid because we know that sellers were not able to break the weekly zone to the downside. And if price is able to break to the upside, well then you'll see another analysis for me where we will look to enter on exhaustion for a continuational push to the upside. But as mentioned, due to the sell pressure I believe price will break to the downside first. Anyways, that's it for today's analysis, team. Really looking forward to next week. Again, remember, live trading starts, FXG Latin America, referral program, lots of things coming up, FXG to the next level, and I appreciate your support. Really, it means the world to us. Thank you.